thinking of where to go to? Be on board with Dr.Reju.
Good evening and welcome to Answers with Dr.Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. My name is Lois and I'm in the studio with Joanne and Joseph. You're welcome to the studio today.
Thank you.
And of course, Dr.Reju, the Chief Resource Person of the Center for Transformational Leadership, CTL JOS. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Lois. Glad to be here. Hi, guys.
Hi, sir.
Okay, today we'll be looking at the lockdown in Nigeria, two sides of the coin. If you missed out on our last episode, don't worry. Just visit our website, answerswithdrreju.org, to listen to all our previous episodes. Okay, it looks like the lockdown approach isn't working for us, but seeing that it has been rated as the best precautionary measure so far, what can we do in a bit to contextualize our solution? What can be the possible homegrown solution?
Well, I don't know where you got the statistics from that it's not working. Is it published somewhere that it hasn't worked, or is it that we have some basis for saying that it's not working, or what?
Well, sir, I think it's because in Nigeria or in Plateau State, we've been staying at home. The lockdown is going on, and we just keep seeing the numbers increasing. So.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm kind of, because the reason why I threw the question back at you, because again, the most important thing we need to understand during this pandemic is how we manage information.
Truly.
And I have to keep repeating that. And it's the reason we're looking at this today is because it's the whole COVID-19, I felt so ashamed of myself mentioning the name. It's all, again, I'm trying to be careful because it's a massive setup that is, I believe, is playing according to the script. It's like an artwork that's been painted upon a canvas. The canvas is social media. Social media, a lot of people think maybe the intention of social media is to educate, but that's for the smart. Social media, to a large extent, has actually kept a lot of people, especially Africans, in ignorance. They have been misdirected. They have been deceived by social media. When social media entered the Middle East, it brought about the Arab Spring. Social media in Africa has produced OAPs. Now, I'm saying that to let you guys, because when I see the three of you, I'm seeing a whole generation of people, the background, the canvas upon which COVID-19 is being painted is ignorance. Is ignorance, is presumption, is, again, people talk and they want to talk like experts. So it's possible, it has become so easy for the, I do this, for the leaders to be able to just have a field day. I just hope people who are hearing me can tag along. That it doesn't, it's not a rocket science to say that it's not only in Nigeria. Lockdown has not worked anywhere. So where I'm seated, I don't know the reason why we were locked down. Now, a doctor said, and I'm going to quote one doctor that I've forgotten his name, is a Nigerian that's in the US. And I'm also going to quote the NCDC DG in Nigeria. Now, what he said was 65% of Nigerians are under 30, right? those within that age bracket will have COVID and they'll get over it. They'll recover. Now, that's what it says. So there's no reason to lock down Nigeria. There's no reason at all. I'm not talking about Jos, Nigeria, because of the demographic statistics. Now, the NCDC DG also said that 98% of Nigerians will eventually have COVID and recover. But do you know what has been done? COVID has been touted as it's like, it's as if it's HIV or Ebola. Now, that's the reason why you now have things like stigmatization. Imagine someone being stigmatized for having malaria. We know COVID is different. Malaria is not infectious. But I tell you, COVID is not a death sentence. We keep saying that, but it's not being amplified. So, if you look at Jos, it's it's a no-brainer. Plateau State, now we are open today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. Is it that COVID is on holidays? If we can go out today, tomorrow, there's no reason why we can go out every day. Now, the Minister of Education spoke yesterday, and I had to call a staff of mine who is in charge of our education arm, and I said, please help me make sense of what he's saying. And we're listening together. He was watching, I was watching, and we couldn't make sense of what the guy was saying. So it's like, it's a grand scheme. You see, I'm not going to over answer this question because I know you guys might have a lot of other questions, but this is where leadership is being exposed. Leadership, has two primary functions, and they are connected. Is to define what's real, right? And then number two is to make that defined reality believable. Now, if the leadership all over the world, they have been able to tell us COVID-19 is real, they have failed on the believability. Because not only in Africa, all over the world, people doubt COVID on various levels. It's not that people believe that COVID is a flu, it's a virus that's affecting people, but not the way it's been touted. Not the way it's been touted. And if you look at the way people have expressed their opinions, you see that what I hear, as a human development scholar, is that I don't know, I saw a movie yesterday called Seven. I don't know, many of you have seen the movie Seven. The guy who was committing murder and was actually dealing with 7 deadly sins, and at the end of the day the guy succeeded. I've forgotten, there's actually a book where the deadly sins are forgotten. Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt acted. It's an old one, but I'm seeing it for the first time. That's what lockdown is doing for me. So the guy was able to play a game with the detectives that the script he wrote became a success, because it was the last scene that was murdered, because he killed the wife of the detective as the 6th scene, which is envy. For those who have seen this movie, they know what I'm talking about. And he said his own sin is envy. So he envied the life of this guy and killed the wife. He wanted a good home. This guy had a good home, and the guy killed him out of wrath. So the guy wrote a script. He was killing people, pride, greed, to show this. He was dealing with the sins, and he successfully, completed his script. That's what's happening right now. That's why I've been saying that post-COVID, the world has changed forever. Everybody will go back to their normal lives. That's why Facebook has become chin guard now. Face mask has become chin guard. People put it under their chin.
Truly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. This is the time to wise up.
Okay.
Is that a good introduction?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I hope I did right. Yeah.
You have been emphasizing something from last week
Mhm.
down to this week. You've been talking about the importance of information.
Mhm.
We need to. You kind of answered
Read
it.
between the
Yes.
lines.
Read between the lines. The information has to be reliable, and then when it's reliable, people will now get to believe. In a place like Nigeria, the government, they give us their statistics as to how the COVID-19 is rising and all. And you said we need to be careful. So how can we read between the lines, for informations like this? Because when we come out with our research for the program, we go into information.
Mhm.
You go into
Yeah,
research
you want
for
to-
this,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And we're talking about checking this information properly. And for us, we are the masses, we are the ones that consume these informations. How can we read between the lines so that we know how to behave, how to approach them?
Yeah, again, like I said, COVID-19 is a script. That doesn't mean it's not a real virus, affecting people, killing people. But if you look at it, the way there's been no consistency in the way the information about COVID is being rolled out. There's been many contradicting,
Statistics.
yeah. And by the time you begin to question, they tell you, it's novel. We've never seen it before. That's why. You see, there is something I'm going to say on air. And I know a lot of people, I'm going to get a lot of sticks for this. That COVID is real. It's a virus. But those who are managing it globally, it's a scam. It's a scam. And I take my position from this, that a lot of things happen that we don't track it. We live in a world that they lie to your faces now because they believe they have successfully wired people's minds to believe lies. In this world of technology, information, you have satellite photos and all those kind of things. How many of you remember Malaysia Airlines? The Malaysia Airlines that disappeared. We move on as if that's normal. A plane carrying more than 200 people, right, disappeared
In the 21st century.
in the 21st century. That's very insulting. I come from a riverine area, right? When any living thing dies in water, it floats.
That's right.
If a human being dies inside water, it will float. My favorite program on air is Air Crash Investigation. There is no way a plane can disappear. But you see, now if you look at this, the ultimate victim of this COVID-19 will be education, especially for Africans
Yeah.
and the poor Westerners who don't have. There's no way. People think online education will now be. There's no way we can study online. There's no way. It's an add-on. It can't be the main thing. It's an add-on. Right? It's an add-on. It's like saying you're learning to fly an airplane and you learn online. Right? You'll be like that guy who got a book, How to Fly a Plane, and he jumped inside the aircraft and took it off. By the time he got off, it was time to land, and he opened the last page of the book. To land, go to book 2. Book 2 was inside the office. So I leave the rest to your imagination. You can't learn to be an airspace engineer online. online, everybody is talking like idiots because that's what the leaders of the world have made each and everyone. That's what they want us to make us to be. But when you talk on Facebook, you prove to yourself. You talk on Twitter, you prove to yourself that you're smart. But you are really an idiot. Yeah. So I'm just here to let people know. Don't let anybody anybody can call you an idiot, but you can choose not to be.
True. Oh, okay. The place is getting heated up. We're going to go on a break, and we'll be back for more. Stay with us.
Thinking of where to go to? Be on board with Patrice Radio.
You're welcome back from the break. Okay, sir. On the 4th of May 2020, the president announced the relaxation of the lockdown, saying many of our citizens have lost their means of livelihood and many businesses shut down. But in the face of a pandemic, which are we to pick first? In the face of this pandemic, which are we to pick first? Are we to pick health or the economy and hunger?
The three are like, they're like maybe like a Siamese triplet, if it's possible. Okay. Now, when you want to build a house, right? The first thing you want to consider is the foundation upon which it's built. You see, you don't deal with it. The moment you begin to deal with a problem when the problem has arrived, you failed. You have failed. So there is no way, even a lot of people that died of HIV, it wasn't HIV that killed, it was malaria. Yeah, it was malaria that killed them because HIV destroys the immune system, right? So when malaria parasite enters that system, there's nothing to fight. So we've already had something like an HIV in terms of our economic setup. We've not dealt with economic challenges when it's not a pandemic. So when a bigger problem came, we didn't have anything to fight back. We have not developed, for instance, the health sector, the education sector, the economy. There has been a lot of graduates being churned out of universities without jobs. So it wasn't COVID that brought poverty. COVID met poverty and basically aggravated it. So the moment you find yourself in a position where you have to choose economics or hunger over sickness, because you don't know that hunger is sickness. It's sickness. So it's just it's a mass, it's a great announcement of the leadership deficit in the world. So because it's not only Africa, you see, I keep telling us in Nigeria that the moment we don't properly analyze our problems, we think the problems are big. Every nation has a problem. Look at what happened in America this week. I can't breathe again. People are talking about I can't breathe as if it's the first time. How many of you know it's not the first time? Yeah. There's a guy who said that I can't breathe before that died. One guy that had asthma and the police sort of choked the guy, gave him a chokehold, and the guy died. This I can't breathe is for some, it's as if we've forgotten that one, and we think this one about about Floyd is. Yeah. And like I wrote in my in my blog this week, that policeman made the Nigerian policeman like an angel. The Nigerian policeman will shoot. What's the name of the guy killed here? Rinji didn't have to gasp for breath. It lost the lead in the place where the guy died. But this one to die suffocating, that's horrible. So policemen everywhere in the world are corrupt. Where there's no racism, there's tribalism. You see, I was telling a friend of mine today who posted it. I said we love to ask questions that are not well informed. When we this end, I said racism, I can't breathe, is also when you tell a girl don't marry that man because it's not from your tribe. It chokes people too. It chokes. So when it's not racism, it's tribalism. So when we have to choose between health and hunger. In fact, the two are twin because they start with H. You see, so it's a catch-22 kind of situation. We fail whichever way. If you are looking for health, you need, if they give you medication, they tell you take this after food. So hunger is given before you can be treated. So that's why I said people are now choosing which virus they want to die from. So they rather die of COVID, which is, so they'll go out, I might have COVID. If I stay home, I will die of hunger. If I go out, I might, it's 50-50. At home is 100%. So when you have that kind of a situation, don't do lockdown. And please there's been no sincerity in the way the information is being dished out. Let me tell you some of the questions that Nigerians ask. When you talk about COVID in the UK, in the US, you see hospitals, you see people on the bed, you see somebody being discharged, you see the health officials clapping. We've not seen anything like that in Nigeria. True. The only thing we saw that was promoted in Nigeria was a temporary, event center in Abuja, this day dome, being commissioned. I mean, that's an insult. That's an insult. A pressman will ask, you guys brought some Chinese here, where are they? The guy said, I don't know. After a while, he said, well, they didn't come for whatever. After a while, they come and said they have, 2 weeks visa, but there are no air travels. When they came in, our air, was shut down. They came in when the airports were shut because they came in on essential duties, right? Yeah. So, I mean, they just toy with us because they believe that they have already weakened Nigerians mentally. They've weakened, globally. Citizens have been weakened mentally. And that's why they can have a field day doing this. So everybody is now about rumors. Bill Gates is doing something. This one is happening here. And everybody's an expert. Meanwhile, we're all a bunch of idiots. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems we now have two viruses to contend with. We have the hunger virus and the coronavirus. And
many others. Mental virus.
Okay. So we learned that in some states or in some countries outside Africa, they do supply food and provisions to their citizens from, like, they go to your house and give you what you need. Do you think that can work in Nigeria? Do you think we can actually supply our citizens with food door to door?
Well, I don't know. You want to add something to that, Joseph?
Yes, sir. You mentioned the victim, and then Africa is always playing victim. And
we play it, right?
Yes, we like playing victim because of handouts. Yes, and when it comes to giving of food, we know that we don't have statistics, and you've said that over and over again.
Yeah, because you only give food to people.
Yes, and then apart
but
from
we don't
food,
know where they are.
So what I want to add is lockdown is another aspect. Humans need to be productive. So how the hunger and then the mental stability of people, because if someone is not productive, they begin to lose themselves so in a way.
Absolutely, because it's inhuman not to be productive. For you to just eat,
and
human beings don't. The way we are wired, if you look at the human like a device, the way we are wired is that whatever we eat, we must have an input. It's it's a psychological principle, it's an economic principle, it's a social principle, right? If they grab you, Lois, right, and they dump you in your husband's house, this is the man to marry, there's no fulfillment. Right? There's no fulfillment. The guy proposed. You thought about it, right? And you agreed. You are part of the whole process. It's an economic principle. You have crude. If you don't add value to it, you don't get the full benefit.
And that's why it's called crude.
That's why it's called crude, because it's raw. Yeah. So that's the way so if, for example, I don't know how true that video is, in Portland, in Portugal, they just drop the food on the road. Right? Maybe on the highway, well packed, on the highway. So as you drive by, you check what you need and pick. Yeah. Yeah, in Portugal. You just check it and pick. Yeah. Now, that's a place where food, you see, in a society that's functional, food shouldn't be a problem.
True.
Shelter shouldn't be a problem. When food is it's something that we have to think about. You see, when I was growing up, I always say it. You want to eat chicken, just go to the backyard. And look at the excitement chasing down the chicken. The excitement. You chase it down, right? And then you slaughter it. You do it. It's part of the whole process. You go to the backyard, take a goat and slaughter and eat. That's the way it used to be. So even in our rural life that we call it, food was given because there is subsistence farming, right? There is housing. When I was growing up, there is no homeless people in the village where I grew up. Only mad people stay outside. So it's so when you say they should give food to people, that's why they call it a palliative. It's not the real thing. It's just to bridge a gap. It's to bridge a gap. So for me, because COVID lasted for more than a month, I know it's a script. Yeah. It's not something the world, with our tech we can't deal with. It's not possible. For it to, now there have been many, there is another statistic. You remember the lady from, Benue State? She was in quarantine for 50-something days.
Wow.
Yeah. Because she kept telling them that you've done a lot of tests. I can't see the result. You just told me I'm positive. Even me, if a doctor is going to inject me, I ask, what's that? And they don't like it. I said, no. Ethically speaking, you should tell me. Yeah. You should tell me what you're injecting me with. That people don't ask you doesn't mean everybody is just like that. I ask, what are you giving me? So if you tell me I'm positive, show me the result, even if it's fake. Show me the result. But because they can't give a fake result, they just tell the guy, I know someone who lost the dad in Lagos. The dad he was in need of dialysis and died, and they said he died of COVID. This is someone close to me. Right? This is someone close to me. The son comes to this organization. Maybe I'll tell you guys who this person is off air. No, but the truth is, we can't continue this way. You can't, if you are going to give food to people, right? It must be something that is so temporary. So temporary.
At most 7 days.
7 days. Now they've told us after the recent one that came out, I read it from a friend of mine who's a pharmacist, that even if you are positive, after 11 days you can no longer infect people. So the information just start coming from everywhere. The major issue we are fighting here is that COVID has aggravated our economic challenges, right? Our mental challenges, our educational challenges, our social challenges. It's just a massive announcement of how ignorant we are. They came out in the US, okay, we don't want lockdown. I thought that should have happened because there's no reason why this state should be locked down.
Yes, and other states have they lifted the lockdown.
Yeah,
because on the where the lockdown is on, numbers keep going
so
on, and then
let everybody go out.
Yes,
and then let's see the height of it.
True.
You will never get to the peak of it, right? If you don't expose everyone to it. They've told us that kids had more. I know that education is going to be the last because kids can't do this social distancing and all those kind of things. But have we also considered what becomes of these kids? Right? Have we also considered that? What becomes of these kids growing up? Is this the way we want to raise our kids? Meanwhile, parents are whining. We don't want online. We don't want to pay. It's just a massive announcement of how ignorant we are as a society. Honestly, that's what I see. That's what I see. It's not about food. It's not about all those kind of things. This is just telling us that we have, like they say in Lagos, we've entered one chance.
There's this phrase that our young folks use all the time: "Stay woke." So how can we stay woke in these times, especially for emerging leaders? Because
stay woke. Okay, be alert, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it means, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know, you guys have a lot of phrases. You guys have a lot of phrases, and once you say the phrase, you believe you are smart. You know, I must keep telling you. You see, if you gather a lot of young people today, and I ask them, how many of you play chess? You see, growing up, if you can't play chess, you are an idiot. How many of you play chess? You guys play Ludo, or what? If you can't play chess, there's a kind of job you can never get. What is the uniqueness of chess? Critical thinking, strategic thinking, planning, right? Yeah.
And execution.
And how to execute it. In fact, the movie I was watching, before coming here, Charles Wilson's War, the guy plays chess without looking at it. The guy plays chess without looking at it. Because he had to attend the meeting and he was playing with somebody else, and the guy will say, okay, your pawn is here. It's okay, put this one there. He was playing without being there. But if you know the assignment the guy is on, I won't, it's covert. Those are the kind of guys that work with maybe CIA and all those kind of things. Your generation, I'm scared. And it's not just Africa. It's globally. It's globally. I'm telling you. Because you have been deceived to think you're smart because you can tweet. Because you can do IG. So, you see, it's only someone that's alive that can stay woke. It's someone that's alive that can be alert. Right? I mean, but you guys, maybe you need to tell yourself you are not awake. So don't say stay woke. Come alive first. Then before you can now stay. You can't tell a dead man to be alert. He's not alive. You need to come alive. Right? You are inside one chance. I'm telling you. Especially in Africa, you won't. Those who lead you, you see a very normal joke of someone who has thugs, and the thug tell the guy, your own kids are abroad. You can't send us out again. It might be a usual joke, but that's the point. But even then, check all the government officials. Their kids go to the best universities abroad. Where do they work? They do nothing. Absolutely nothing. They sell contracts. Because one day they'll become minister. The current Minister of Aviation launched Air Nigeria, virtual airline. Virtual. Billions went into it. It was just virtual. He went to the UK to launch Air Nigeria. That Nigeria wants now to have an airline. Billions went into it. And that's the end. And the guy is Minister of Aviation.
And we don't have
anything, and everything just goes on. Nobody's asking any kind of question. Everybody's shouting about the 100 and something appointments that Abakari made. It will fizzle out. Somebody who couldn't talk because the man was alive is talking now. But that will also fizzle out.
True.
I'm prophesying it. It will go unpunished. That's the truth. I'm just scared of the future. If this current, social media gurus, right, are the future, it's scary. Because we don't know how to ask the right questions. And I always like to quote Albert Einstein. If I'm given 30 minutes to solve a problem, I'll commit 25 to asking the right question. They say 5 minutes is more than enough to solve it. Once I get the right question. That's what he said.
All right. Sir, you've you've talked about education a lot, and I've been wondering, before the lockdown, ASU was about to go on strike.
No, they went on a strike.
It was a warning strike, yes.
And then they came back,
Yes.
and then COVID locked them down.
Yes. So now even when the lockdown is lifted, there's still a threat for strike. And then these students pay for tuition, they pay for hostel, and then some of them left their food in school. And all of this,
hoping to go back quickly.
Yes. And then there are other younger ones who are in primary schools and secondary schools. Now there's so much responsibility as regards education, and it seems the people who are responsible for educating are delegating, like parents,
okay,
yes,
yeah,
are delegating to a school or a government, instead of being part of the process that educates their words or children. So how should parents come together now and really put efforts to make sure that, because the schools are doing the right thing, private schools are so many, and if you go to some of the private schools, some government schools are even better. There's no regulation and there's nobody talking about it. There's a body for private schools. I heard them on radio one time talking about regulation and all, but they're not doing anything about it. So how should these parents and even the students come together? Unionism is no longer working. It's been hijacked by politicians. How should, because when you talk about being awake first, it's something,
being alive first,
being alive
before
first,
you can be alert.
So how should we go around this?
Parenting and all, they are all subsectors of society. You can't have good parenting when the whole structure is defective. That corruption affects everything. If you there are a lot of parents. I don't like saying I'm sorry to say when I'm not really sorry. There are a lot of them. Their kids are smarter than them. Yeah, their kids are smarter than them. So what we have done in Nigeria is, when there's a problem here, we just look for an alternative and we move on. Right? We just move on. That's why they say Nigerians, if you run into a wall, they'll break down the wall and continue running. So we're always looking for easy spots here and there. The reason why you have private educational institutions or private schools that are of no standard is because we are running away from a public, schooling system that has, that's become rotten. So we run there. So we're not even demanding anything. At least it's better. Meanwhile, many times it's not. Yeah, there are a lot of universities in Nigeria, that private universities, that you shouldn't send goats there. You shouldn't even send animals there. So it's a so parenting is part of the corruption, where parents no longer believe that they have a responsibility for their kids. Where, just like you look at a primary school or a secondary school, where those who teach there, the staff there are those who couldn't get job in the bank. You go to the universities too. Before, if you are the best student in your department, they want to retain you as a lecturer. I don't know whether that still happens. So it's part and parcel of the system, where, you see, for me, ASU right now, and I've told my friends who are in ASU should not be fighting for perks. They shouldn't be fighting for allowances. They should be fighting for autonomy. Give us the university to run. Right? We don't want your money. Give it to us to run. Right? Let's charge for education. Can't be cheap.
Sure.
There is nowhere in the world where you have somebody who graduates as a medical doctor and all he paid all throughout the whole thing is about 250,000 naira. That's a murderer. That person shouldn't treat headache. Better to go and take herbs. It's not possible. You see, there's a friend of mine who told me in the US that there is no household that can generate enough fund to send their kids to school. My own sister and the husband, right, they chose to live in a house that is beneath their status so that they can send their daughter, they can send their kids to school without scholarship. That's the only way. If you want to live by your status, you can't afford it. That child will have to take a loan. Now, their daughter happens to be top notch. She's very brilliant. She got a scholarship to Princeton. Even with scholarship, they still have to cough out hundreds of thousands of dollars to match it. And make matters worse, she's going to study medicine. That's some hundreds of thousands of dollars for you to study that. So this one that somebody is paying tuition in the university of 25,000 naira. Right? I mean, what else? What do you expect? You churn out, idiots. Again, I like using that word a lot. An idiot is not an abuse. It's just somebody with serious mental defect, who can't think straight. I'm sorry, because what I see around, what I read on social media is a reflection, right, of what's happened. So parents have abandoned their roles. They've abandoned the kids in school. They don't put pressure. Even the private universities, right? It's just name. It's just name. Where is their credit? Who is their external examiner? What's what validates the certificate? Right? So these are the issues that we grapple with. So we make a mistake when we want to look at various sectors of the society in isolation.
Yeah.
It's a holistic thing, and that's what COVID is riding on. That's why we lock down. It's an easy way out, but there's no way it's ever going to work. If you lock down for more than, because they said the thing works for 14 days, right? If you lock down for more than 14 days, it's meaningless. It has become meaningless. Within the 14 days, everybody will have had it. That's the whole assumption of lockdown. Everybody will have had it. Those who are falling sick will have taken them for treatment. And even the whole, again, I go back to the information management. Now people are trying to say, don't call COVID-19, positive people victims or something. Don't call the place isolation center. It's treatable. What happened to the ones? What the people that have been treated and discharged? What did they use? Why can't you tell us? But they won't tell you because you're not asking. Look at the live coverage they do every day. Look at the questions the journalists ask. Lifeless questions. The people who are discharged, we are talking about medication. The people discharged, tell us, what did you give them? Their fear is if you tell them, people will go and buy. But you know that you have not regulated, right? You can't buy antibiotics on the counter in other countries where they take health seriously, right? So, but because you've not done that, that's why you are afraid that if you tell them it's chloroquine, they will go and buy it because they can easily buy chloroquine. So it's a sick system. It's a sick system, and that's what's affecting education. This is going to further weaken education, because every Nigerian on social media, they have a solution to COVID, right? Even the 10-year-old, they have a solution to COVID. So these are the realities that we call you emerging leaders. You need to come put on your thinking cap so that you can critically assess what's going on. And then, because the 20-year-old guy that has been killed, I told you 2 weeks ago, it's good. It's that case is getting cold. Yeah, it's getting cold. So I don't know. It's part of parenting that Joseph asked about. Is part of it. It's a virus on its own. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go on a commercial break and we'll be back to round off the show.
Thinking of where to go to? Be on board with Patrice Radio.
You're welcome back from the break. We've been talking about
Why are you guys laughing?
the lockdown. We've been talking about the lockdown in Nigeria, two sides of the coin. And if you missed out on our last episode, just visit our website at answerswithdrreju.org to listen to all our previous episodes. Okay, so we also talked about the homegrown solutions.
Okay.
Yes. How do we ensure proper implementation, knowing how rules and regulations can be compromised in Nigeria?
Now, that's good, because we always have to, look at solutions that are, that are like us. Yeah, thanks. And you see, when there's something I said about leadership, about defining reality and making the reality believable. If you are sincere with the people, it becomes very easy to obey the rules. If the people know that, even if you are a skillful liar, it's beneficial. But the politicians in Nigeria are very bad liars. So it's very difficult. And once people don't believe this COVID, right? How do I make them believe? Now, because right now they have one reality. There is nothing that's going to happen to me even if I go out. Because I've gone out for 3 days in a week, I'm back home. And I'm still here. That's their reality. Everything you are saying on TV, it doesn't make sense to them. So people will believe, they will obey a rule, right, that they believe in. The leaders, I don't like calling them leaders. The politicians should be able to bring out rules, regulations that the people see that this is for my good, right? That those who brought these rules, you see, when we were growing up, when my dad canes you have to come back and thank him. Yeah. When he rebukes you have to come back and thank him, because we've come to know that the reason he disciplined you is not for him. It's for your benefit. Right? Today you will call that bullying. That after caning the guy, you said the guy should come and say thank you. So people will obey rules that they know that it's for their benefit. That's one side of it. And then secondly, that if they disobey the rule, the government is not just issuing a threat. I will go to jail. So there must be that level of fear too. That's why when I wrote on this, I actually used the example of a masquerade, the time I was living in Ibadan. When this masquerade wants to go out, the rule is no woman must come out, but even men don't come out. Because of the fear. Right? Because of the fear. So there must be that level. What will bring the fear, right? When I know that if I'm caught, right, bribe won't get me out of it. Yeah. So people don't obey the rules because somebody said the borders are closed. Which border? There's no border anywhere. People travel. So all this why, because we're talking about lockdown, all this why we have lockdown, people are on the street. We have closed borders, people are still traveling, and they are still alive, and you want them to believe in your COVID? They can't believe. They have flouted the rules, they've gotten away with it. Yeah. You put a policeman on the road that is not well motivated, is not well trained, he doesn't have, he's suffering with serious insecurity, right? He envies the guy's car, he salutes the guy, and the guy gives him money and you want him to obey any kind of rule. That won't work. So there's been a lot of insincerity on the part of government. That kind of authority cannot be respected. It can't be respected.
Well, okay, sir. You've been emphasizing on the social media, and I know so many people listening out there, including myself, might, have a contrary opinion. to you saying the social media is not doing much good, don't you see the social media as a tool for positivity? And just enlighten
you
us.
You are very right. Social media is a tool. The positives are huge, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
positives are huge. But for a lot of people, they are victims of social media, especially in Africa. I've given the statistics on this program before. Nigeria is top 10 of Facebook users. What do we put there? Trash, nonsense, rumors, quotes that has no bearing with life. Yeah.
But that's in a bid to, trying to be positive.
Trying to be what?
Positive.
I don't have any answer for that.
Because
don't know
that's
what
the
it
way a
means.
lot of Facebook
You
users
see, it's
it
a
to be.
placebo. You know a placebo? A placebo is when, that's what they use when they test medication. They test a drug, right? If, for example, if you believe that until you get injection, you can't be well, even if they put water inside the syringe and inject it to you, you'll be well. That's a placebo. You see, when you post something on Facebook or Instagram and things like that, it gives you a false impression that you have done something meaningful. Right? You don't know that. A lot of people don't even read it. They just press the like button and they are gone.
Yeah.
And just share. Right?
Yeah.
And just share. So it's not this. The social media is using us. We're not using it. Let me give you this last point. The guy who came up with gambling does not gamble.
Wow.
He died this week at 94. He does not gamble. He's not a gambler. I don't know how many posts Mark Zuckerberg makes in a day.
There's a lot, to learn from today's topic. I learned today. And we have come to the end of the program for today. You can visit our website at answerswithdrreju.org to stream on all our previous episodes. We'll see you next week for another exciting episode. Always remember to wash your hands and use alcohol-based sanitizers. Wear your face masks when you're in public places, and please remember, coronavirus is not a death sentence. Stay safe for yourself and others. Thank you for listening.
Thinking of where to go to? Be on board with Patrice Radio.